What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right, we're back. We're finally back after like about 9 days? 9 days no live streaming. I put out one video in that time. I needed a break, and I got a break. So anyway, thanks everybody for finding me on this very rare Wednesday night live stream. Normally, it is just the regular schedule. It's like clockwork: Friday, Sunday, Tuesday. I had to miss yesterday's because I got back at like 4 o'clock, and I was just done. I was just done. So we had to save it up for tonight. But I'm glad because it's Wednesday, and we never do this. We should do this more often. All right, Rosie, radio streamer, spam bot. How you guys doing? Good to see you guys. Who got the first like? I think it was probably Rosie. That's double good karma. Double good karma. Every like gets you good karma, of course. And in these troubled times, who couldn't use a bit of good karma? Who would turn their back on that? I wouldn't. But when you're the first like, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Rumble, whether it's on X, whether it's on Locals, you get double good karma. I mean, you could get 8 times good karma if you got the first like on all of those, which is pretty good. I mean, a little sneaky, if you ask me, a little sneaky. I don't know if it's totally fair, but you'd still get the karma. All right. So what do you guys have to say? Let's see. Well, Streamer got like number 3. That's still pretty good. Spambot got number 2. So close. So close. It's so far away. Spambot, I've missed my usual doses of baloney. Welcome back, Richie. Well, welcome back, you guys. I'm glad you guys still remember me. Let's see. Rosie says, welcome back, Richie. Thank you. Welcome back to yourself as well. Let's see. Spambot says, I absolutely enjoyed the Daniel Smith X live stream on Monday afternoon. I think I saw a little bit of that. I was really not very connected while I was away. So I did manage to put up one video, but I wasn't as connected as I normally am. I'm always kind of checking out the news a little bit, but not like normal. So I think we're going to keep tonight's one kind of short, try and keep it to 2 hours. I'm going to try and be strict on that, keep it to 2 hours, because we've got a big one coming up on Friday with a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about that I just need to sit down. I need like a full day to go through some stuff, like these DUMBs. Have you heard of these? These deep underground, like survival bunkers. What are they called? Deep underground, massive bunkers, something like that. I want to talk about that. I want to take a deep dive into that. I've already started putting some stuff aside for that, but I just haven't had a chance. Been too busy. So I'd like to talk about that on Friday. There's a bunch of stuff. I know you guys sent me a bunch of stuff too. I grabbed some of it from X, but I didn't have time to go through in a lot of details. But there is some stuff that we're bringing up tonight. Let's see. Good evening, radio streamer. Good to see you. Spambot says she threw down the gauntlet. She's got a habit of throwing down the gauntlet, Danielle Smith, and she's very good at it. She's very calm. She's, I think, a great leader personally. Let's see. The left absolutely hates her. And that's as good a reason to like her. I mean, if the left hates her, she's got to be okay. Let's see. Spambot says, and there is a firm time limit on the Carnage Recycled Trudeau anti-Alberta team. Well, I mean, we're going to have to get through. That's another thing we'll go through on Friday. I was thinking about doing it tonight, but no, I think we'll save it off till Friday, till we have more time, so we can really, really spend some time on it and go through it in some detail. But Alberta's separation is looking more and more likely, I have to say, especially with these new regulations on citizen initiatives. Let's see. Rosie says, wonder if there are fences in the dumbs. Well, I don't know. I guess there's going to be some tight security. Whoever is like the most important person is going to want to be very secure from the other people, I think. Travis, how you doing? Good to see you. Travis says, French press in Quebec says Carney won, Trump. Oh, I've got that. I didn't miss that one. Now, I didn't have as much time to get prepared for this one as I normally do, so we'll try and keep it fairly short. But holy gee, Spambot says in his postal code, 1,597 out of 1,601 voters want separation. Yikesies! I think I might be moving to Alberta. I think I might just be moving to Alberta. Mark Carney, he puts on a good show, a good pretend being moderate, button down. He's not. He is the guy he's been publicly for like the last decade at least. He's woke. He's an eco-fanatic. He's worse than Stephen Guilbeault. Things are going to go badly for Canada. Let's see. Wonder how the French press scores. Well, Rosie asks, I wonder how the French press scores. Well, I mean, they get money from Carney as well. So, it's just going to be whatever makes Carney look good. And Quebec is in some ways socially kind of conservative in terms of at least like they don't hate themselves and their culture, but otherwise they're very left wing. All right. All right, so let's go through the menu quickly, and then we'll go back to the chat for a second, and then we will just get into the stories. So first off, we're going to talk about the Trump-Carney meeting. So if anybody was hoping for a bit of the old... Hold on, I got to turn the sound off that. If anybody was hoping for a bit of the old elbows up, not much elbows up happening there. So a bit of a disappointment. I want to talk briefly. I'll probably make a more detailed video on why Carney won. But I want to go through it. There's a lot of narratives around and Pierre blew it and blah, 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 which I don't think is the case. I think there is a political reality about Canada, which there may be no solution to, especially considering Pierre Poilievre brought in more share of the vote for the Conservatives than has happened in 40 years. It's still lost. And there's a reason for that. And we'll hear this dingbat's reason why he voted for Mark Carney, and maybe it'll make everything just more clear. All right. Just the absolute... We're not going to spend that much time on Canada. I really want to start spreading it out to a bunch of different stuff. We were so focused on it really, we were just so focused on two campaigns, really, for like the last 6 months. There was the American campaign, Canadian campaign, political campaign, leadership campaigns. And Yeah, we've been so focused just on that stuff. I want to kind of get out. That's why I say I want to do, the DUMBs, those underground, massive underground bunkers. Just get into a bunch of different stuff. But here's some more on Canada. We're still going to cover all this stuff as well, and we'll still do it heavily, but we'll sprinkle it with a bit more stuff that just kind of, palate cleansers, I guess, really. But here, this is just the absolute state of Canada, how absurd and gross Canada has become. Let's see. Here's some stuff on the gender cult and just how grotesque it is, and how it does appear they're intentionally keeping their victims totally ignorant, even up to the point of the knife. When they're getting the scalpel out, it's just super disturbing. We've got a little bit of woke mind virus here about, what was this one? Feminist glaciology. So something we covered in the past, but we'll take another look at it. We've got a few memes here. Let me update this, make sure. Yes, that's a good one. The Trump Pope stuff. I find it fucking hilarious myself. I know some people were super offended by it. I just find it hilarious. Hold on a second. Let's go back. Why is it not getting... Anyway, never mind. I'm just messing around with things in the back here and getting confused because I haven't done a live stream in 9 days. Okay. What do we have here? Okay, this is Nigel Farage. So Nigel Farage is an interesting guy. He's basically killed the Conservative Party in the UK, and then all of a sudden, but there are some unsavory things about this guy. Normally, I would be like, yes, fantastic. This is great. This is kind of a realignment that needs to happen. But then there's been some things like he hates Tommy Robinson for some reason, because I guess the media, blah, blah, blah. If you haven't learned by this point, the media is going to hate you. If you are not a woke progressive, they're going to hate you no matter what. Doesn't matter if you're in Canada or the UK or the United States, they're going to hate you no matter what. In any case, it's not that long ago he was making noises about how, well, you can't really do much about illegal immigration into the UK. Fake asylum seekers, fake refugees. He's kind of turned that back around again. I don't know how much of it is real, how much of it is just politics, but we'll take a look at that. And we've got just a bunch of stuff. This is something one of you guys, I think maybe was it Rosie sent this to me, or maybe it was Miles, I can't remember. Raccoon trying to smoke a meth pipe during a vehicle search. I haven't watched this. We'll be watching that together, and what a wonderful thing. A bunch of random stuff. Again, I'm hoping to keep this to a couple of hours tonight, and then we'll go much harder on Friday. Maybe 4 hours, probably 4 hours, something like that. But we got a bunch of stuff, and let's go to the chat quickly. All right. I wonder if I should do an ad read already. Maybe I should do one right now. I don't know. It's early, but why not? Why don't I get started? They always give me a bit of a boost. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. Only 1,000 units. Get in on it now. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits harder than a CNN fact check. The smooth medium roast and the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. And no communism. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip. A gold spoon clip. Whoa. Because freedom isn't scooped with the plastic. No, it's not. And communists hate that. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. Ouch! This is a brand new ad. And a black 1970-75 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. A woke communist sea witch is even worse. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. That's unbelievable. That's the free market for you. This is the ones This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is, unlike communism. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. That's 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Start your day with coffee that backs what you believe, and that means it's anti-communist. I certainly hope so. All right, so that was I've never read that ad before. It was a brand new ad, and it was fun. I like it when they add new ones. I don't know what that CNN fact check thing was. I don't know what the hell was that. Were they trying to say fact checking a CNN fact check? Is a CNN fact check is a CNN check to make sure it's not fact. All right. All right, let's get to the chat here. Then we'll get into these stories. What are we, 17 minutes in already? Good Lord. It flies by so fast. Let's see. Spambot says, rural Alberta wants out now. Well, look, it's not going to get better under Carney. It's going to get worse. He's not going to help Alberta. He wants to shut down Alberta. He wants to shut down Alberta and turn it into, I don't know, windmills and cricket farms. That's his plan. Let's see. Spambot says, Carnage was elbows down and ass up for Trump. He was. He absolutely was. Well, look, Mark Carney, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Hold on. Rosie says, glad to have learned so much about the Canadian government. I knew nothing. Canada is not interesting, really, unless it's collapsing. And now it's collapsing. Now it's it's a cautionary tale. It was a cautionary tale before, and it just doubled down on being a cautionary tale. Let's see. And that makes it interesting, I guess. It's like a car crash. But anyway, thank you for paying attention. Rosie says, coffee ad, great read, commie hate, no woke, growls, smiles, 1775 out of 10 with claps and fire. Thank you so much. 1775 out of 10. I'm no mathematician, but I do believe that's the most out of 10 you can be. Streamer says, oh no, I had to go in the store and I missed your ad. I didn't get to rate it. Well, there'll be more. I'm sure there'll be more, as long as enough people show up. All right. So shall we just get to it? So here we go. All right. Carney meets Trump. So Carney was, our relationship with the United States will never be the same. Never be the same. He was the guy he was going to deal. He was the only man, maybe the only man in the world that was qualified and had the qualities to be able to stand up to Donald Trump and stare him down and break him and force him to his will. Let's see how that went.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president. Focus on the economy with a relentless focus.
Well, transformational president. What? Wait a second. That doesn't sound like he's being mean.
Focus on the American worker, securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected.
Securing the world? Wait a second. I thought you were going to lead like the world in like some global coalition against the United States or something. That's what you kept saying during the campaign. This doesn't sound like that at all. This just sounds like it was all bullshit. No, elbows down, ass up. Elbows down. No, Mark Carney. Elbows down. No, Mark Carney's wife, or maybe that's Skeletor. Elbows down. There you go. Elbows down. No, Mark. No, not up. Down. We know what happened. So, look, the reality is, Mark Carney, what could he really? There's nothing he could really do. I mean, we all knew that all this elbows up stuff was just bullshit. We have an economy a tenth the size of the United States. We're not going to win some trade war. There's no, Mark Carney wasn't going to go in and bend Trump to his will. It's all just pure nonsense. Now, as for Mark Carney's performance, I mean, it's just whatever. I mean, he didn't start crying, so that's good, I guess. Donald Trump appears to quite like Mark Carney and told him that and said he ran a great campaign and everything, and then just started to more or less ritually humiliate him for the rest of the thing. And what could Carney do? I mean, I'm seeing people saying that, Mark Carney did really well. Well, what could he didn't start crying and he didn't get kicked out. So I guess that's good. I mean, what could he really do is the question. He kind of just has to sit there and just kind of take it. Really. I mean, that's the reality. After the campaign, after the elbows up and arm tough and blah, 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 that's the reality. We have an economy a tenth the size. That's it. It wouldn't benefit him to get kicked out. Maybe it would in Canada. Maybe liberal boomers would love it or something. But at this point, it doesn't matter because he's already tricked enough people to get him elected. So let's hear a bit more.
With my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here, I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can go forward.
That's great.
But that doesn't sound like our relationship is over. Like, that's what he kept saying. That didn't sound like, Mr. Trump, I'm leading a global, for some reason, the world is going to pick Canada to lead it in some sort of trade war against the United States. That didn't sound like that at all. So strange. It's almost like everything is bullshit. What's this from Kevin Pachiti? This was downright embarrassing. Anyone who elected Carney because he was the person to deal with Trump should be hanging their heads in shame about now. Elbows up. This was never going to be different from this. There's nothing really Carney could have done anyway. It's just that it's really on the Canadian people for being, so many Canadian people, for being so stupid and naive.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And we put tariffs on cars from Canada. And at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz.
Thing is that Trump is a singular figure and he holds all the cards. And, as disappointed as all of those liberal voters in Canada may be at seeing this, Carney was never going to go in and dominate or do anything. I mean, he just was there for a nice meeting. That's it. And for just Trump to just keep repeating the same things that he's been saying all along. So, I mean, the whole thing was kind of pointless. I know that a lot of liberals are saying that, but that's why we elected Mark Carney. I don't think the voters, but media people deeply involved in, supporting the Liberal Party publicly. This is why we elected Mark Carney. Yeah, I mean, Cope, I guess. Cope, he's totally impotent in this. I mean, there's nothing he could do. Anyway, I'm not even saying that Mark Carney did a bad job. I'm just saying he had no cards and there was nothing, and it was always going to be like this. It was always going to be this, regardless of the brave talk during the campaign, which was, I'm certain, just simply manipulation. I mean, obviously, it was just manipulation. Mark Carney isn't an idiot like Justin Trudeau was. He's smarter than Justin Trudeau. He's got terrible ideas. He's an ideologue. He's totally misguided, but he's not a foolish man, or he's not an idiot. And he had to know this is the way it was going to go down. Let's see. We've got more. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so so this is from the French press, from Journal de Montreal. Carney won, Trump oh. It's just cope, or just outright propaganda. I mean, the whole thing was just kind of embarrassing, I have to say. It's about what you would have expected. Trump seems to be thrilled that his man won, that Carney won, and my thoughts on that are just simply that Donald Trump has been talking about endlessly about how he wants industry from all over the world to relocate to the United States. Particularly, he wants manufacturing to repopulate that hollowed out industrial plant in the United States. What might cause, and Canada is right there. Canada's the border is right there. We're really close. It's actually a pretty easy move. So he's going to take Canadian companies, of course, if they're going to set up factories in the States, they're going to set up steel mills, say, in the States and employ people. He wants all of that, and he knows that he knows what Mark Carney's plan is. Mark Carney's plan is to punish Canadian industry, the polluters, the polluters, as Mark Carney says. They're going to pay, Mark Carney says, or maybe they're just going to leave. Maybe when they get a taste of his, or before then. I mean, they all know Mark Carney's been very public about how he's going to add on onerous carbon taxes and regulations onto Canadian businesses, Canadian industry. So if you've got Trump south of the border holding out his arms, his loving arms, willing to lovingly embrace any Canadian business that'll move south and bring their jobs and their money with them. And then you've got Mark Carney saying, you're going to pay, demonizing you to the Canadian public and getting elected on that. I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? I've got a pretty good idea what's going to happen. They're going to fucking leave. Because of course you would. Obviously. I think that's why Trump likes Carney. I know that there's been some kind of relationship between Carney and Trump, or Trump surrounded people, going back a while. But I think ultimately it's that Trump has been saying that he wants businesses to move to the United States, set up headquarters, set up manufacturing, and he knows that will happen. with Carney being the leader of Canada. It will weaken Canada. And then if he really is serious about, 51st state, maybe he's looking at Alberta, which Alberta would be the only province he'd really want anyway, right? What does he want the rest of them for? Just a bunch of commies. Or too many commies. I mean, Canada is like Canada right now as a whole would just be a giant California. It's about the same population as California, right? Republicans would never win another election again. But maybe Alberta, maybe that's part of it, right? He sees the opportunity to maybe take Alberta. And I don't think it's crazy. I'll tell you what, it's less crazy than him getting elected to be president again for a second time after everything that was thrown at him. Let's see, from George. This is the very moment that Mark Carney realized he lost everything. Just look at his body language after hearing Trump's firm response.
Tariff in Canada, is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No,
Why not?
just the way it is.
Is there anything he, as in Mark Carney, can say to you to get you to lift tariffs? He says no. Just the way it is. I mean, I'm sure he was listening to all the horrible things Carney was saying about him, right? I mean, it absolutely could be true that Trump wanted Carney because he figures that it's going to drive a bunch of Canadian industry down to the States, and then he'll benefit from that. And like him for that reason, or just like him personally, right? But then also bear a grudge. We know he was bearing a grudge against Trudeau. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, well, let me just put it this way. No, elbows down. Elbows down. No. There you go. Keep them down. Keep the elbows down. Keep the elbows down. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I do know. It was all just a big fraud. That's clearly. It was a fraud perpetrated on the Canadian people, and there are enough Canadians that are just too stupid to know when they're being had. Michael Malice, he looks like an AI composite of every single CEO for a movie where the villain is an evil corporation. 100% true. And the thing about this Trump Carney meeting as well is that it's pointless when you consider what Carney's plans actually are, and they're not going to change, right? He was planning to pivot away from the States anyway. He wants to be more involved with China and with the EU and this weird, fraudulent financial, global financial climate alliance. That's what he really cares about. He doesn't care about Canada. Canada's just a tool to promote that. Let's see. Hold on. From Rupa Subramanya. So from a conservative voter who voted conservative, hates the liberals, and after having watched Mark J. Carney at the White House, has said this to me. So a conservative voter said this to her. I must admit, as a Canadian, I was actually quite moved at how he stood up for this country. He said that Canada is not for sale during the ritual humiliation that Trump was putting on him. I don't know. I didn't find it moving at all. That's what he should say. And it means nothing as well. It's just a nothing. I mean, I didn't find that moving. I understand what Rupa Subramanya is saying here is that, yeah, there are people that saw that watched that, and actually were impressed for some reason. But I think these are people that just don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know who Mark Carney is, what Mark Carney wants. Let's see. From Mark Nixon, Donald Trump pulled out a masterclass in trolling today. Knowing that Mark Carney is 100% woke, smashes wokeism for 4 minutes straight, right to Carney's face. Trump knew exactly what he was doing, and Carney looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. So, yeah, let's watch this. From Mark Nixon. So, this starts out with during the campaign, and Mark Carney letting Canadians know that all of the infinite idiocy and lunacy of wokeness is got a home in Canada as long as he's prime minister, because we all just hate sanity, I guess.
There's a fever gripping America. And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values. While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. The job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that.
Yeah, it's called woke dysfunction. I coined that, woke dysfunction, because whatever it is, whatever the organization, whatever it is, it's no longer about its original purpose. Now it's about spreading the mind virus, the woke mind virus. That's the most important thing. Whether it's, the AMA, whether it's erecting a building, it doesn't matter. Woke comes first. The ideology comes first. This is why communist countries fail. But what did Mark Carney say there?
And while it rages, Canadians will remain resolute and true to our values. While America engages in a war on woke, Canadians will continue to value inclusiveness.
Yes, so Canada will continue to be an utterly dysfunctional woke country because diversity, what does that even mean, right? Value diversity. But woke means a lot more than just diversity. And what does the word diversity actually mean to you, Mark Carney? Does that mean that does that mean that a 5-year-old can be told by their kindergarten teacher that because they played with the wrong toy that all of a sudden now they're born in the wrong body? Yes, to Mark Carney, that it does mean that. Does it mean that before you do anything, you have to check off a bunch of identity boxes and make sure that 80 different interest groups all have all satisfied, usually by just giving them money in some way? Yes, that's exactly what it means. Does it mean 2 + 2 = 5? Apparently that's what it means. Mark Carney has not changed. And when I talk about, it started out very nice with Donald Trump saying how much he liked Mark Carney, and he ran a great campaign, and he thinks he's a great guy, and then launched into about a 20-minute humiliation ritual. That's really what happened. And again, as for Carney's performance in it, just whatever. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Is he going to punch Trump, right? Is he going to start crying? Right? He's just going to sit there and he's just going to try and seem normal, right? He's going to seem, he doesn't want to get kicked out. He's just going to sit there and he knows that the press will go to bat for him. And as we saw with hold on a second. What the hell? Hold on. We have to. As we see with this, this Montreal Journal, Carney won, Trump 0. Right? So he knew he just had to sit there and not make a total fool of himself, and then the media will do his work. The media that he funds, the media that knows he is the new sugar daddy, better make him happy if you want the checks to keep rolling in. He knew this was going to happen. He knew that all the right people would talk about, he did a really great job. This is why we elected Mark Carney. For what? To go and be humiliated by Trump and just sit there with either a sour expression, a little bit of a, not like even like a really sour expression, but like a little bit of one, and then just kind of just a goofy grin on his face the rest of the time. So, all right, how much more time do we need to waste on this? Let's see, have I got anything else? Hold on. What was this? Did we ever see this? Catch Me Lying If You Can, starring Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Chrystia Freeland, and Jagmeet Singh. From, what's this, Grunge Goth something. All right, let's take a look. What is this? This looks fascinating.
Weldon's Miami Mutual Bank. How may I help you?
This summer, one man with one goal.
I'd like to cash this check here, and then I'd like to take you out for a state dinner.
To convince you he's everything he's not.
It's been a while since I know. Which one's in jump
Mark Carney never went to flight school.
Are you a realized pilot?
I sure am, little lady.
Mark Carney never went to medical school.
Do you concur? I concur.
Dr. Harris,
Yes?
do you concur?
Concur with what, sir?
Mark Carney never went to law school.
This is irrefutable evidence that the defendant is lying.
Because Mark Carney is a professional liar. He conned investors. He conned politicians. He even conned himself into thinking he's a pilot. From the Bank of Canada to the Bank of England to wherever offshore account he's hiding his money in. But when you build your entire career out of make-believe, eventually reality comes knocking.
Special Agent Hand Ready, FBI.
Hello, Carl. Stop chasing me.
I can't stop. It's my job.
Leonardo DiCaprio? No. Tom Hanks? Not a chance. Golden Chaps? Every time. From the director of Central Banks and Bailouts and the producer of Trust Me, I'm an Economist, comes the greatest financial illusionist of our time. Only in Veeder or wherever Mark Carney is currently giving a very well-paid speech.
Do you have to capture you?
I wonder I wonder if, because I mean, my first thought is on Mark Carney is that after the election is that, boy, wait until the people who voted for him figure out that they've been conned. And then I realized, well, he just won the election. In an election, there's no way that he should have won. So I think it's more likely that they never figure out they've been conned. It's just simply, or even if they do, it won't matter to them because political fashion is just so ingrained in so many Canadians now that they just don't care. As long as it's not called conservative, they don't care. Just more of the same. Just new leader. Maybe that'll make things better as long as they don't do anything different from the last guy. I'm kind of black-pilled on Canada at this point, I have to say. For the first time, I'm really kind of black-pilled on Canada. All right. So let's get into why I'm kind of black-pilled on Canada. Not even kind of black-pilled on Canada. Like, I think maybe it'll change. Maybe I will become more optimistic as things continue. Where the election is still, really recent. But let's get into why. But first, let's go to the chat. Hold on a second. All right. What are you guys saying? Let's see. Remote viewer 57 over on YouTube says that Carney did not win a thing. He was shaking in fear, and I'm sure he soiled himself. You know, I think he did it because he just kind of have to do that to have the appearance of being a normal prime minister, which he is not. I think that's why he did it. I don't think he's trying to come across as being kind of moderate, and he's not. His plans are going to be the same. He hasn't just, like, when he's talking about how every business should have to account for every bit of carbon footprint. So, like, the pens you use, right? How much carbon footprint do they have? Everything in your business, including monitoring your clients, factoring in your clients' carbon footprint into that. That wasn't 20 years ago, you know. That's like last year. Like, these clips I've been showing you, these are like a year, 6 months, 2 years old. He's not changed his mind. When I'm reading to you from his book Values, like, that book is from 2021. He wasn't like some 25-year-old, you know, a guy who just, you know, somebody gave him a beret and a Che Guevara t-shirt, you know, 6 months before. No, his ideas have not changed. His ideas, his goals, his aspirations to turn Canada into one part of this global climate alliance thing that's just simply to bolster green companies that can't survive without subsidies. That's what Canada is for now. Mark Carney is a globalist, an admitted globalist. He doesn't care about Canada. Canada is a tool for his larger goals. So Canada is there to for globalists to extract every single penny that they can to feed into this green scam. That's it. That's what Canada is there for. So Carney was set there, and it's something that he just had to do to appear to be normal, and that was it. It was all just show. There was nothing was supposed to be solved. He doesn't care. In fact, if trade's more of a problem between the Canada and the United States, I think for him that's a good thing, because it gives him an excuse to, you know, take the money that he's extracted from Canada into globalist concerns and to do more business with China, which he has deep ties with China, obviously. He wants deeper ties with the EU, the failing EU, which probably won't exist in 10 years. But the whole thing was just a charade. I mean, it was nothing. It was fake. Let's see. What else do we got here? No, I still haven't broken a statue of Karl Marx on air. Let's see. Streamer gave me an 8.8 out of 10 for my ad read and says I need more commie hate. More commie hate. I will try. My friend. Rosie says, so bad for a leader to say it would be the end of our country. Yes, as Trump says that Trudeau said, which I believe. I mean, that's the kind of idiocy you would expect out of Justin Trudeau. Not that it wouldn't be very bad for the country, just you don't say that, obviously. Maybe Trudeau's socks were on too tight. Streamer says, I hope he offers fast-track citizenship to company owners in Canada with long-term track record of existing already and producing goods and services that we need. One thought here. Trump has already offered the $5 million gold card to just, you give him that, you're just an American citizen. I think that's the first step, because the United States still does need immigration. It will need it. I mean, every country does need it to some extent, right? Just different, right? Like you don't want criminals and stuff. And like, really, it doesn't really help you just to have millions of, very poor people who you don't know who they are, unskilled people to flood in all at once. It's not really helpful for your country, regardless of what CNN or CBC says. So I think that the $5 million gold card thing could be the top. I kind of half expect that he's going to start offering lower and lower stages of that. So maybe the next one's $1 million. Maybe it gets down to just simply if you've got, $1 million in equity or something. A lot of people have $1 million in equity in their home. In Canada, I mean, the average home price is, I think, about $750,000. And that's all everywhere. So that's counting Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and also just in the middle of nowhere. But if you're average, if you own a house in Vancouver or Montreal, I think Montreal at this point used to be cheaper there, but certainly Toronto, that house is over at least $1 million at this point. So, because Trump wants investment in the United States, he wants money to flow to the United States. I wonder if you might see something like that. I think that you might. It might open up to a lot more people. Rosie says, and Carney spends minutes praising Trump. That's right. Elbows down. I mean, look, I'm fine with that. That's what you should do when you go down there. It's just that it's totally opposite to what he said, that he was just going to be this warrior against Trump, right? I think a lot of liberal voters, regardless of what, the Montreal Journal or CBC says, are going to be kind of shocked by that level of toadying. And again, you kind of have to do that. It's just, it exposes the whole campaign as an utter and total fraud. Rosie says, before words were weaponized, Americans valued diversity, inclusion, work ethic, kindness, social justice, compassion, justice, mercy, etc. Lines were drawn for not. Yeah, that's not what they mean, though, by diversity is the problem, right? Like every word has been redefined in the left's Orwellian fashion. It's like anti-racism now is just racism, right? Just like gender-affirming care is actually conversion therapy. It's the opposite of what they say it is. Let's see. Let's see. OT Game 7 asked, Richie, do you think it mattered that Carney said the owners of Canada say it's not for sale? He didn't say the Canadian people. It's an interesting point there. Very interesting point. Now, it might have been a slip of the tongue of Carney because Carney's an elitist globalist, self-professed, right? So by definition, he doesn't consider himself as a part of the masses. He's above the masses, right? So I think it's an excellent point. Maybe it was maybe it was just a bit of a slip on his part. He revealed too much there. Maybe he meant the people of Canada by owners of Canada. Maybe he didn't, but I mean, he is such an obvious elitist and globalist that it wouldn't surprise me if it was just a bit of a slip there, Spambot says, Carney told Trump Canada is not for sale. Yeah, that's what he was going to say. It's what anybody was going to say. Nothing really particularly special in that. Spambot then adds, because he promised Brookfield he would use them to sell us off to the CCP. Yeah. There is so much that can go so wrong with Carney. Because it's not just that his policies could wreck the Canadian economy, wreck our currency, wreck our credit rating. It's that they will. Is if they're actually instituted, as he said he intends to, it will do all those things. Like, it can't do anything else. It certainly can't help the economy. It can't bring down inflation. Like, if you're, I know we're not supposed to say printing money. If you're increasing the money supply, that's not going to bring down inflation, obviously, right? If you're putting onerous taxes, carbon taxes on your businesses and industry, that's not going to help business and industry. That's not going to help the business climate. That's not going to make them more profitable. It's going to hurt them. Like, Mark Carney's policies can only hurt Canada. There's no universe where it helps Canada. Like, extracting hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe $1 trillion by the time he's done, but extracting hundreds of billions of dollars, which is borrowed money, it has to be paid back. You have to pay interest on that, and putting it into green companies that are not profitable. Like, they can only exist with subsidies. So they will never turn a profit. They can only exist if somebody's giving them money, giving them other people's money. Mark Carney is that guy who's going to give them other people's money. Canadians' money. Money Canadians don't even have. They have to borrow to give to them. This is what Trudeau was doing disastrously. We have nothing to show for it. So on the selling us off to the CCP, yeah, I mean, Canada is going to be, if he does what he says he's going to do, and I don't see any sign that he's not, Canada is going to be in a terrible position and will need to be bailed out. Maybe the goal is to sell the oil fields to China. Who knows? Let's see. Izzy, how you doing? What's this, a Radio Baloney stream? Yes, I was supposed to come back. Yeah, I got back from my trip yesterday night, and I just didn't have it in me, so I'm doing it tonight instead. And of course, we'll be back on Friday. Izzy says, I miss Fence Girl. I know, me too. We forgot about Fence Girl, but it's, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as they say. So she's back. She's brave around those goats, she is. But, she's not really, you can tell she's not there for the goats. She's there for the fence. She's a fence girl. OT Game 7 says, did Trump realize how good his trolling was with Carney being the godfather of Freeland, Nazi granddaughter, Trudeau's babysitter, and Trudeau alleged homewrecker sitting next to Trump's right? He really doesn't like Chrystia Freeland, but that's no secret. He's been talking about that forever, that he despises Freeland. That they all do. Everybody in the administration hated her, and I don't think there was any question. She was completely incompetent. They love to talk about credentials. She didn't have any. And not that you need to have credit. You just need to be sane, right? But she was a journalist. And she worked for the Financial Times. She never showed any exceptional talent in anything. And all of a sudden, she's the finance minister, the deputy prime minister. Trudeau. All right. So let's get to why Carney won. So Cat Canada posted this. When this dude was answering my questions, I could hardly believe it. So this is somebody she was interviewing. They vote Liberal and don't even know why. Well, I could have told you that. Let's take a look. Carney voter asked why he voted. Let's take a look.
You guys vote?
Yeah. Carney won, so...
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Why did you vote for Carney?
Because he makes most sense out of people, so...
What makes the most sense to you from his policies?
I don't know.
Is there one specific policy that you were really interested in of his?
No.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah, all right, bye-bye.
I know that's just one person, but I think it's instructive because the election was fought over two issues. One, just Trump, who can take on Trump? The other was, on the conservative side, cost of living. essentially cost of living, housing prices, inflation, cost of food, opportunity, taxes, all of that. So if you were concerned about those things, you would have voted conservative because Mark Carney was offering nothing on that front, right? His whole thing was just, I'm anti-Trump. I'm the Trump slayer. Yeah, not so much, it turns out. But if you're somebody who's, fairly comfortable, and you're not really feeling the, the pressures the way that somebody who's less comfortable or still trying to, build up their life to the point of retirement, build up their finances to the point of having a comfortable retirement. If you're already there and you're not really feeling the effects as much as somebody who's not in the same place as you, well, you can be a luxury voter, right? You have the luxury to just go, well, he just sounds like he makes sense and I'm not paying any attention. I always just vote liberal. But there's much more to it than just that. All right. In fact, I'm going to just make sure I've got these all in the right row. Okay. How about from this? Government is corrupt. A new poll says nearly half the Canadian population favors socialism, but are against higher taxes to fund it. Just perfect. So let's take a look at some past elections. Now, Canada is more than a left-leaning country. It is a left country, right? So you could roughly say 60-40 left. Let's go to the 2021 election here. So Justin Trudeau was already kind of slumping by this point. 32.6% of the popular vote. Conservatives, 33.7%. Won the popular vote, but the way that it's laid out in the parliamentary system, they have a more efficient vote, so they ended up with the most seats, ended up winning. You see, New Democrat Party are 17.8%, Green 22.3%, so there's 20% there. Liberal, so now you're getting up to 53%. In 2019, you had 33% for the Liberals, New Democrat Party 16%, Green Party 6.5%. You've got the Bloc, which is really a left-wing party. It's kind of unique, though, in that it's nationalist. It's a nationalist party, separatist party, but it's actually quite left-wing as well, especially economically. It's very left-wing. So you can see, I mean, it's a left-wing country. It just is. And let's take a look at the final vote here. So the Conservatives got 41.3% of the vote, which is the most percentage of the vote they had gotten in 40 years. Last election, they got 33%, right? Liberals, 43% here. You can see the NDP, 6.3%. So they're down about 10 points, the New Democratic Party. So what did they have in the last election? They had 17.8%. This time, 6.3. So over that. So about 12 points down. So what happened here? What happened? Well, the NDP vote base, aside from their super base, left and went and voted for the Liberals, because they'd rather have a liberal than just any conservative at all. And one is left to wonder at this point why the NDP is even necessary in Canada. And I think a lot of NDP voters decided, well, they're not really, because we've got the illiberal party now. So New Democratic Party was always the furthest left party, the most socialistic. And over time, they've become, or at least they've been trying to become, the wokest party, the most irrational, illiberal party in Canada. But the Liberal Party under Justin Trudeau was transformed from a centrist left-leaning party to a straight-up radical progressive party, an illiberal party. It's a totally different party now, philosophically, politically, every way. It is not the party of John Chrétien. So when you have that, why do you need the New Democrat Party anymore? Obviously, a lot of NDP voters decided, well, we don't need them. We'll just go for the Liberal. We'll go for Carney. I mean, so do you care about? Are you concerned about global warming? Are you obsessed with the environment? Obviously, Mark Carney is more obsessed than anybody. So if you want the craziest, most destructive, dysfunctional policies around climate, Mark Carney is your guy. Why do you need the NDP? If that's your main issue, you don't need it anymore. Wokeness? Mark Carney is all for woke. He wants to preserve it. He wants to preserve that woke dysfunction, that total denial of reality. He wants to preserve 2 + 2 = 5 in Canada and call it diversity. So you don't need the NDP for that. Like sex changes for children? Mark Carney's your man. He's already said that, he wants to do something about Alberta banning puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for children. So if you're really into sex changes for children, Mark Carney's your man. And what is more radical far left than that? That's about as radical far left insane as you can get. Mark Carney's your man. Land acknowledgement, woke land acknowledgements. Mark Carney's your man. DEI, Mark Carney's your man. I mean, he set up DEI, ESG funds for Brookfield. DEI is a big part of that, obviously. So he's your man. Censorship, he's talking about he's going to resurrect Bill C-63 with the pre-crime and the life sentence for doing a hate, whatever that's going to be. Probably not too much. Probably just anything that's conservative. Life in prison for doing a hate online. So you like censorship? Mark Carney's your man. You like Orwellianism? Mark Carney's your man. So why do you need the NDP? You don't need the NDP, and a lot of their former voters made that calculation. Any crazy fucking lunatic bullshit that's going to ruin your country, you can get it from Mark Carney. So vote for him. So in the past, where you had vote splitting between the Liberal Party, and the New Democratic Party, which would allow a conservative party to form a government, well, that's done now. That might be done permanently. Again, why do you need the NDP? Now, will they come back? They've been around for a while. Will they come back? Maybe. But does anybody have confidence that any liberal leader would not just out-woke the NDP or give enough lunacy that would make it very difficult for the NDP to rebuild again? This is a problem. This is what's blackpilling me about Canada, is that when you have the Conservatives, we have Pierre Poilievre getting 41.3% of the vote, the most in 40 years. The last election, it was 33%. That's a major improvement, and it's not enough, because if the lefties combine, if they unite under one banner, we're screwed. You just can't win. It's like California. California is a one-party state, and it's going to remain that. I'm very worried that's what's happening with Canada now. Canada has just become a one-party state, and it doesn't matter what happens. People could be having to dig holes or in the ground to live in, or look for caves to live in, and they'll still vote liberal. Like San Francisco is a dystopia, right? It's a woke dystopia with human feces all over the ground, crazy drug addicts, needles everywhere. It's incredibly expensive to live amongst all of that, and yet there is zero chance that they are going to do anything but continue to vote for more of the same lunacy. I worry that Canada has become that. That's my black pill on that. And if non-liberal party leftists would rather have the Liberal Party than the Conservatives, well, again, we're just kind of screwed. And why wouldn't they? every fucking crazy thing they could want, Mark Carney's giving them. All right, I want to show you something else. So here's the polls in this, going back to, you can see the conservatives here back in here on October 2022, really kind of took the lead. And here you can see where the really big leads were coming in, right? This is just as Justin Trudeau became more and more unpopular. And let's go all the way to here. What day is that? That's January 6th, 2025. That's the day that Justin Trudeau announced he was going to step down. He was going to resign as prime minister once a new prime minister was picked. And what happens? Immediately, Liberals go up in the polls and completely take over. At this point, what you see here, that's where the NDP had started to really abandon the Liberals in favor of the party that was going to give them everything they want anyway. So, this wasn't because this just steep rise, that's not because Mark Carney was this transformational character, this charismatic new leader that mesmerized the masses with his charm and wit. No, Mark Carney is a globalist hobgoblin, right? He's a gargoyle. No, there is no reason that should have happened other than the fact that Justin Trudeau was just simply very unpopular. A lot of Liberals were just so kind of apathetic at that point. And as soon as as soon as Trudeau was gone, it shot up. And the Liberals that were never going to vote for the Conservatives anyway. I mean, what was the vote? The final, here you had the very top here at the most, hold on. You had a 23-point advantage here on January 13th. Or on January 6th, you had on January 6th, you had a 24% advantage for the Conservatives. But where were the Conservatives? They were 44.2. That's only 3% more than what they ended up with in the final polls, in the final count for the election. Only 3%. Liberals were at 20%, but that's because just a lot of Liberal voters weren't interested in voting as long as Justin Trudeau was prime minister. As soon as they got somebody new, they shot back up. Those are people who were never going to vote for the Conservatives. So this whole Pierre blew a 25-point lead is a bullshit. Because he didn't end up far off. That's at the very peak, by the way. At the very peak. And in fact, he outperformed the polls by a couple of points at the very end when it all came through. So his support was actually pretty stable. He didn't blow this big lead. It's just that a new face was put on the Liberal Party. The media immediately got behind the new sugar daddy, the new savior. They put him on a throne. They put a crown on his head and a sword in his hand and said, "This is the guy who's going to save you from that mean Donald Trump." And that was enough. And all the Liberals said, "Okay, I'll vote again." And then a bunch of NDPers said, "Hey, I'm going to get everything I want out of Mark Carney. And plus, the most important thing is just that a Conservative doesn't run because we don't know what they're going to do anyway. All we have is a bunch of delusional fantasies about it and fear-mongering that we learned from the mainstream media, who wants the new sugar daddy, the guy who's not going to defund them." That man being Mark Carney. The reality in Canada is the Conservatives are not going to get 50% of the vote. I think they're unlikely to get 45% of the vote. Something catastrophic would have to happen. Like Argentina before Milei. But even then, is there anything that can convince California voters or New York voters to vote Conservative? To elect Is there anything that can convince them to? There doesn't seem to be at this point. You have populations where just the brainwashing, the indoctrination, the social engineering is so complete that it's almost as if they're operating without agency anymore. The voters, I mean, they're operating without agency. They don't even have free will at that point. So I reject the notion that Pierre Poilievre blew a 25-point lead. No, all that happened was his report remained actually remarkably high for Canadian federal elections. It's just that a new face was put on, the same pig, the same Liberal Party pig, and that was enough. That was enough. It's like, oh, I can vote Liberal again now. And I don't want those mean conservatives to win, because Poilievre's mean, I know, because Rosemary Barton said that he's mean. And the most important thing, apparently, in a leader of a country is that they're not mean, I guess, even though Mark Carney was plenty mean during the campaign. But the TV didn't say that, though. So that's an important distinction. All right. Donald Trump brags that he cost Pierre Poilievre the federal election. It was not Donald Trump. Let me tell you something. The Liberals and the NDP and the Greens had been using Donald Trump as a weapon for years. Okay? In Parliament, calling Pierre Poilievre Maple MAGA. They've been using this for years, and they were going to use it, and they were going to use it successfully, regardless of whether or not Trump said anything. Trump could have said absolutely nothing during the election campaign, and it still would have worked. They would have continued with that line of attack. The media would have supported them in it. They would have kept pushing it. Oh, they would have made something out of nothing, and it would have worked. Because I'm telling you right now, when you see this, the red line is the Liberals, and you see it go down like this, and then the day after Justin Trudeau steps down, all of a sudden you see this dramatic rise. That's not rationality at work. All right, that's not a bunch of sophisticated, discerning voters being persuaded by great arguments. No, that's tribalism. That's team sports. That's all it is. That's CBC said, TV said. That's all it is. And Trump didn't have to say a word. They would have continued using the same Trump attack that they'd already been using for years, and that would have worked too. I do not buy the idea that Trump's 51st state thing and all of that and the tariffs changed it. I don't think that it did. I think when you see a change that drastic, this isn't the work of reason. This is not the work of this is not the product of people acting rationally. Okay, it's the same party. It's all the same people. And Mark Carney's policies are the same as Justin Trudeau's, only in overdrive. This was not, this was not a product of rationality or sophisticated, educated, discerning voters making a choice based on the facts. No, it wasn't. This was TV said. And TV was going to say the exact same thing. Regardless, if Trump didn't have to say a word, we already knew the line of attack, and it would have worked exactly the same. They were just waiting for a new face, and that was enough. I mean, and but this won't faze any of the Liberal voters. You have to understand, they didn't know anything, right? They were just told, it was TV said. That's why they voted. TV said. The TV is not going to tell them about how Trump bragged that he cost Pierre Poilievre the federal election, and that, maybe you should maybe that there might be some buyer's remorse on this thing. Maybe the whole thing was based on a lie. There will be none of that. The people, the ignorant people who voted for Mark Carney because they knew literally nothing about anything happening in the election or the featured players, right? They remain ignorant, and they will continue to remain ignorant. So they'll have nothing they'll have nothing to have any cognitive dissonance about because they will remain as ignorant now after the election as they were before. Now, here's something that's disturbing to me. Using our last 3 surveys of 2025, of the 2025 election, and our 2021 post-election survey, comparison of vote by, so this is David Coletto. He is at Abacus, I believe. Age 18 to 29, they went for Carney. Now, 30 to 44 went for Pierre Poilievre. 45 to 59 went for Poilievre. 60 plus, 44 to 38 for Carney. So we thought that the youth vote was going to go conservative. I think it did more than it would typically, I believe, but not enough. But it's kind of a shocker. It's kind of, I guess it's not, nothing should be shocking to me. Maybe it should be shocking that 30s to 59s woke up. But it did seem like young people, I mean, that's a 5-point difference. I guess that's not a huge chasm that can be overcome. But it's disappointing. I mean, those young people have absolutely clearly no idea what they're voting for. They are voting to be saddled with massive debt by Mark Carney, whose every intention is to extract as much money out of them and from their future in the form of borrowing money, to give to his friends, essentially, to give to his global climate finance alliance, the World Economic Forum, UN. It's tragic and it's sad, and ultimately, I don't feel sorry for them with what's going to come. Anybody who voted for it, I don't feel sorry for it. I'm not going to listen to their sob stories that are inevitable. It will come. Mark Carney's policies, it's not just that they'll probably fail or they're unlikely to work. They cannot benefit anybody other than the people that are going to get subsidized, the unprofitable companies and industries that will be subsidized with Canadians' money. Those are the only people who will ever benefit. And as soon as the subsidies and the money runs dry, those companies will disappear. But it won't matter because the extraction will be complete by then. Let's see. All right, well, I guess that's pretty much it. What are we, an hour and 24? And I said I was going to try and keep this to a hard 2 hours, didn't I? What a fool I am. What a fool. All right. Let's get to the chat. What else we got going on here? Oh my God, do we have an ad? Holy jeez, we've got an ad going on. 31 cents. I'm in the money now. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. Hey, like Radio Baloney. They didn't censor or have biases. They weren't a bunch of dirty, filthy commies. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they felt a pressure from the Biden and Harris communist administration. Good Lord, those were terrible people. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. It's really just me. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them and obviously dirty, filthy commies the world over. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get enough of it, unfortunately, because I guess they're listening to a bunch of dirty, filthy commies in their own companies. And I don't know, it just sounds crazy to me. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. That's what I did, and I've never been happier. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. I wish we had one of those First Amendments in Canada. God damn it, it's such a shame and kind of terrifying. You should appreciate that. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. That's $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. They're doing you a favor here when you purchase an annual subscription. You should do it right now. Go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO. That's rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO. You want to see all my premium only content, don't you? Of course you do. And that's the way. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, and the cause is pretty crucial, actually, for Western civilization, isn't it? Free speech. It's the most important right. Now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy if you watch us on Rumble. Did you hear that, people? Did you hear that? It's a beautiful thing, Rumble Premium. Everybody agrees. It's a beautiful thing. Better than tits. Let's see. Right. What do we got? I'm going to go through the chat here. No Sandwich Girl tonight. You'll have to come on Friday for Sandwich Girl. Oh, there's lots of chat going on. Maybe I was ranting for longer than I thought. I don't know. Let's see. Give me a second, guys. Let's see. Rosie says, no sandwich, no noodles. No one has mentioned Greenland. I guess we'll switch it up right now. Let's find something else. What do we have? How about the beer girl? What's going to happen? What is going to happen? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Is that going to spill? I feel like it might spill. No, don't. No, just a little closer. Ah! And that's the whole point. All right. Let's see. Nevada says, I want Greenland. Well, maybe you'll get it. Maybe you'll get it. I think Greenland is making the wrong choice right now. Let's see. And Nevada says, we will trade Minnesota for Alberta too. Really? Well, that's interesting. Let's see. OT Game 7 says, I found the polls were conditioning us as well as a distraction to the shenanigans with offshore ballots, expanding ridings, replacement voters. McGaw is worth a watch. So the polls were actually more off in this election than they were in the previous few anyway. There was obviously a couple that were just wildly ridiculous. The Ecos is one although they all herded right at the end. And yeah, it was conditioning, right? Like Frank Graves, who owns Ecos, said publicly that he was going to do everything in his power to prevent Pierre Poilievre from becoming prime minister. And he ran the poll that had the Liberals like at like 98%. Like, it's just absurd numbers. That was like 50% or something. Yeah, but they were the poll. A lot of the polling was political, and it was off in the end, not by 10 points, but it was off by a couple of points. And whether or not that actually mattered, I don't know. I may be too black-pilled at this point. I don't know. James Meacher says polling sucked during the election, bro. Yeah, and some of it was just totally disgraceful, just utterly ridiculous. JDL says TDS in Canada. Canada is full of TDS. Izzy says sad but true. Meacher says Carney was embarrassing in the White House. I mean, I don't know what else he could have really done. I mean, I hate Carney. I hate him. And he was put through a humiliation ritual. It started out very nicely. I really like you, Mark Carney, and ran a great campaign. And then he just ran through this humiliation ritual. Carney is not a charismatic or interesting man in any way. So there's not really much he can really do. He just has to kind of sit there and try and avoid a Zelensky situation. Let's see. OT says, by the way, thank you, Richie, for railing against the gender-affirming care PSYOP. Much appreciated. Oh, I've done a lot of ranting about that. And we're going to get into more of that. In fact, I think we might have a bit tonight. I'm going to try and keep the stream to 2 hours. So maybe there's some stuff we'll have to leave till Friday. But Mitchell says, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, and Vancouver liberals voted to keep taxes high. Yep, they did. And to borrow money to give away to the world and to give away to green companies that are incapable of being profitable. Let's see. Izzy rates my coffee rate. He says 9.5 out of 10. Not enough coffee. What? Not enough coffee? Normally they say not enough commie hate. It was oh, I see. Because it wasn't a coffee ad. I see. I get it. Okay. JDL says, shucks, I came late to the party. Well, we still got a ways to go. Let's see. Radio Streamer says, wait, a love of free speech, a place to practice and invest in it. Anti-commie sentiment, 9.3 out of 10. Acceptable levels of commie hate. Rosie says, 9.9 out of 10. Great ad read. Thank you so much, Rosie. Let's see. OT says, Rumble is a beautiful thing. Started by Canadian Chris Pavlovsky. Understandably had to clear out of town to Florida. Well, yeah, it's Canada, right? Canada is a woke dystopia, and it's moving further and further towards just full Orwellianism, unfortunately. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says, Richie, thank you for the education. You have equipped me to participate in discussion on X. A woman was correcting someone who labeled Carney as beyond evil. I came back with read his book, watch videos by Radio Baloney. Educated wisdom and quotes have nothing to do with personal attacks. If you read the book and watch the videos and can still speak with such naivete, then you will love your social credit score. No more X and eating bugs. Prayers for Canada. I'm changing the world. I'm changing the world. Thanks, Rosie. That's awesome. The problem is that nobody pays attention, right? So they'll see that he has a book and they'll go, oh, we must be smart. They won't look at the book, right? It's like the credentialism that CBC went so, and Global and CTV, they went so hard on credentialism with Mark Carney that look at his resume. But they weren't really very interested in what's actually in the resume, like the results of the resume, right? Like governor of the Bank of England, that's great, but they had no interest in what did he do and what was anybody saying. Liz Truss, former prime minister of the UK, was in Canada. She did like podcasts and stuff. CTV, Global, CBC, not one of them had an interview with her. Why? Because she was talking about what's behind the resume, right? Like what him being governor of the Bank of England actually meant, what it meant for England, what it meant for the UK. They didn't want you looking too close at the resume, right? At the, what was the end result of these positions, of these credentials that they were touting so much? He was governor of the Bank of England. That's really impressive. Well, what did he do there? Governor of the Bank of England. That's impressive. But what did he actually do? Why don't you talk to somebody from the UK and find out how he actually did in that role? What effect did that have on the UK? Zero interest. Zero. I mean, it's so disgraceful that you could have, I believe, Keane Bexty from the Countersignal actually managed to talk to her. And the CBC can't? I mean, this is why we need independent media. And yeah, this is why we need like Countersignal, Rebel News, Juno News. This is why we need them, because they're doing the things that the mainstream media won't do, because the mainstream media is not interested in informing the public, right? They were not interested in going a little deeper into Mark Carney's resume. Like, what did his resume actually mean? They weren't interested in that. They were interested in getting Mark Carney elected, because he was going to keep funding them, and because they're all just default liberal anyway, even though the Liberal Party isn't liberal. It's an illiberal party, but we've gone through that a million times. That's why Mike Carney wants to resurrect the censorship laws. Doesn't want the independent media. They're going to ask inconvenient questions. It's a disgrace that the mainstream media in Canada just wanted to present these really impressive credentials without giving you any of the backstory on it. Why? Because the backstory was bad. The backstory would not have helped Mark Carney. Talking to Liz Truss would not have helped Mark Carney get elected. If they had sat down for an interview with Liz Truss, maybe at that point there's a chance actually that Mark Carney doesn't get elected. If they'd done any real journalism, dug into his credentials, his record at all, maybe he doesn't get elected. I mean, Liz Truss's statements on Mark Carney were pretty powerful. But again, that's why they didn't talk to her. Counterproductive. They're not interested in truth, in informing the public. They're interested in preserving their jobs and their ideology, and that's it. And it's gross and disgusting and should make everybody furious. All right. OT says, Carney reminds of Mr. Burns. Yes, he does. Ottawa James says, Carney is a creep. You nailed it. Rosie says, I heard someone say your first book is just a fancy business card. The thing about his book values is there's nothing interesting or original in it. It's, you don't walk away thinking this here's a brilliant thinker. It's kind of just very mediocre. It's not original. He has nothing bad to say about Karl Marx in that book, and he talks about Karl Marx and the labor theory of value, and he seems to be quite he seemed to want to tell us that he likes Marx, but without saying that he likes Marx. He certainly didn't say anything negative about him. Ottawa James says, Vassy is going for the CTV version of Rosie Barton. You know what? She started out okay, and she's still occasionally okay, but yeah, she really got in line. I think the management had a word with her. Unfortunately, I had some hope for Vassy, but yeah, she just became the rest of them. Ottawa James says, Carney is boring as fuck. He really is. He's not a dynamic personality, is he? I want to show you something here. The absolute state of Canada. This is from Billboard Chris. 2 children have been missing for days, and she starts off the press conference with a land acknowledgement and a shout out to African Nova Scotians. This is Canada. Kids in school hear multiple times per week how they are on stolen land, which is just all not true. Why is this necessary? Because you have the indoctrination has to continue at a pace.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon. I am Corporal Carly McCann Provincial Public Information Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP. Thank you all for being here today. Bonjour, je suis la caporale Carly McCann, agent d'information publique pour la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Merci de votre présence aujourd'hui. First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
2 children have been missing for days. When I talk about woke dysfunction, this is one emergence of it. This is one kind of. This is one of the trillions of ways that wokeism, the woke mind virus, asserts itself, right? This is woke dysfunction. Okay, so when we talk about woke dysfunction, what does that mean? It means that whatever institution woke gets into, the woke mind virus, gets into, it becomes about that. That becomes the most important thing. There's 2 children missing. Okay, 2 children missing. And the most important part of this to the police is to give a land acknowledgement first. That has to take precedence over the fact there are 2 missing children. The land acknowledgement, the acknowledgement of African Nova Scotians has to come before the only thing that anybody cares about, anybody in a rational world cares about, okay? The wokeness takes precedence. It's now the most important thing in this institution is wokeness. And you know that because she's giving a press conference about 2 children that have been missing for days, and she has to do the land acknowledgement and acknowledge Black Nova Scotians first. This is the absolute state of Canada right now. This is appalling. This is a country that has lost its way. This is a country in total moral confusion. What do the parents think of this? It's most important to get the land acknowledgement in first. This is just wrong. This is a society that has lost its way. This is what Mark Carney wants to preserve. When he says diversity, he wants to, preserve diversity in Canada. This is what he's talking about. He's talking about dysfunction, the dysfunction where everything must bend the knee to the woke mind virus first. That's the first consideration in all cases. It's the most important thing. Every Canadian should be outraged by this. It's gross. It symbolizes just a total rot and the total moral confusion that our nation now suffers under. It's gross. It's gross. And this is what people voted for. When they voted for Mark Carney, they didn't vote for this button-down moderate. They voted for this. It's grotesque. All right. There's actually another story here, which I guess we'll cover this on Friday. We don't have time. When even you just take like 9 days off, there's so much that happens in this modern world. It's crazy, but we'll try and get to the stuff on Friday. We'll do like 4 hours on Friday. From Badman HC, I just want to reach out and save them all. This is the most excruciating thing to read. They have absolutely no clue what they're letting themselves into and why this isn't the doctor and why isn't the doctor telling the truth. This is not consent. So we're talking about gender affirming care here. If there was ever a clearer sign of total and utter moral confusion within a society, I don't know what more. Especially when it's kids. Now here, this is an adult, and it's bad enough with the adult. The point of this is that the people that are going through these operations, through this so-called gender affirming treatment, often have no idea what's happening to them and what's going to be done to them. So here's from a Reddit thing. Ask Transgender. A few questions about vaginoplasty. Includes refuting some turfy stuff. So TERFs are trans exclusionary radical feminists. Scary. So my sugary date. God, that's not what it is. I'm working my way back in. I'm working my way back into this live streaming thing. All right. So my surgery date is coming closer, and I need to get some pervasive ideas out of my head. I'm sure lots of you have heard the TERF claim that a neovagina is just an open wound that has to be kept open by dilating, which is bullshit, right? Why do we have to dilate, though, when non-trans women with vaginas don't? It's a TERF claim that it's just an open wound. What did you like? If you're going to mutilate, if you're going to have totally immoral surgeons mutilate your reproductive organs, you should probably do some research, or at least just think about it for a second. Maybe this person just simply is incapable of reasoning. Maybe. I don't know. Just an open wound. Well, what else would it be? Of course it's that. Has to be kept open by dilating. Yes, it does. Because it will try and, the body will try and heal the open wound. Why do we have to dilate, though, when non-trans women with vaginas don't? Because it's not a real vagina. It's not a non-trans woman vagina. That's why. Does this person sound like they can give informed consent? I don't think so. Right? These are one of the a million ethical questions around all of this. But one is, can the person even consent in the first place? This doesn't sound like somebody who has the capacity to really understand what's happening and give informed consent. This is not consent. I just want to reach out and save them all. Well, I'm afraid you can't. The lunacy is going to continue. This is what happens when institutions become infected with the woke mind virus, when they become captured by the woke mind virus. Stuff like this will happen, right? It's not just a bunch of crazy kids in university anymore. Now it's the, American Medical Association, the Endocrine Society. Basically, name an institution. It's no longer functioning in its original purpose. All right, let's get to another one here. You know what? Let's maybe we'll leave this one. We're almost at 2 hours. Let's take a look at a couple of memes. So what's this? I have to say, I think the Trump Pope stuff is hilarious. I know that maybe some Catholics are offended by it. It's from Jose Galan. But I just think it's funny. I don't know. It's just, there's something inherently amusing about it. Trump is the Pope. It's just funny. I mean, is him being the Pope like a crazier idea than him becoming the president in the first place? Like, especially the second time. Like, it just I remember thinking after January 6th, back in 2021, that they're just going to nail him so hard on this. There's no coming back from it, right? And to me, it looked like a riot, and not a particularly large riot at the time, but I knew what they were going to do with it. I thought, I just can't see him being able to come back. And then he did, right? So I don't know. Is it? I just think it's funny anyway. I just think it's hilarious. I guess because of how much it will make people freak out, I guess is the funny thing about it. All right, let's move on. Let's see. What's this? From Clown World, what went wrong? Men 500 years ago. I've lost my left eye and 5 of my 9 sons in this decade-long war. Nevertheless, I must keep fighting. Men today, it's ma'am. Well, it's not all, thank God. Just some of them. It's ma'am. J Gen Xer posted this. Can't do it. Can't join your cult of zombies. I prefer self-thinking. So I would do anything for you. She says, vote liberal. And right off the cliff. It's the only thing you can do at that point. The only thing you can do, I'm afraid. Or just break up. I mean, you don't have to kick her off the cliff. In fact, definitely don't kick her off the cliff. Just break up. Let's see. I'm pro-oxygen, the sweet, beautiful oxygen. Liberals, yep. I think we covered this one at the last stream, I believe, but I want to do it again because it's just so damn funny. Planet of Memes. Let's see. Don't drink your piss. It's gross. It's gross. Don't do it. Liberals immediately drinking their piss. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, one more, and then we'll take a look at the chat again. We'll get back to the chat. So, Nigel Farage. So, this is Darren Grimes, I think it is. Darren Grimes. I absolutely love this reply to this reporter that hasn't herself had to live next door to a migrant HMO with 7 fighting age fellas. They just don't get it because they don't live. They live in places where it's not affecting them to the same degree. Now, Farage was making really, a couple of months ago, some really kind of disturbing noises about how, well, there's nothing you can really do about the illegal immigration in the UK and blah, blah, blah. Kind of just sounding like the old Conservative Party, to be honest. Apparently he realized that didn't work for him and he's turned it around. I don't know how much anybody should actually trust Farage at this point. I was very high on him for a while. Thought he might be the guy to kind of rescue the UK because it's just important, right? That the UK not fall to wokeism completely and become a dystopian, Orwellian state, or probably more likely in 50 years, a caliphate. But anyway, this sounds good. Let's take a look.
About 750 young men.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Mr.
a small
Farage
fraction of the people living in this constituency. Can you really scapegoat them for the problems that people who fit?
Do you live in their streets?
I don't.
No, it's funny that, isn't it? If you live in a street and 10 or 15 young men from completely different cultures move into one of those houses and you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and work on a building site, whatever it is, would you be happy about that? I tell you what, people aren't.
About what living beside people. I mean,
why should I pay my taxes for people who illegally come into Britain, get free healthcare, immediate GP appointments, free dental appointments, spending money, and full bed and breakfast paid for? There is a sense here that something wrong and unfair is going on.
And do you not think you're just trying to create divisions within a community?
No, the divisions are being created by weak British governments, allowing people willy-nilly from all over the world, undocumented young males of fighting age, to come into Britain in unprecedented numbers.
So, deportation's back on the menu, boys. And he's changed his tune on what is just a popular issue, pretty much everywhere. I mean, seem to have so much difficulty actually getting it, like deporting people in your country illegally. But it's popular pretty much everywhere. And he's kind of turned back around to a populist message again. The last time I looked, I think that Reform was the most popular party in the UK, and on its way to just completely eradicating the old Conservative Party in the UK. So, although there is reason to be a little bit suspicious. I mean, he really hates Tommy Robinson, and other conservatives that, should be on his side. It seems to be he's playing these games with the press where, you can't go too far because, the press is going to hate Nigel Farage, just like they hated Pierre Poilievre, just like they hate Trump, just like they hate any conservative anywhere in the Western world. So you just have to not care at this point. But anyway, he seems to be back on the right track again. And, what will that mean long term? Who knows? It's up to him. All right. Let's see. So this is I need to hold on. There we go. So that's Sydney Sweeney at the end of Saturday Night Live, and I just think she's got a lot of exuberance and a lot of positive energy. So it's just a nice thing to see. Let's see. While we go over the chat. What's going on? All right, I think I've got to where we stopped off last time. I don't know what James is saying. He's going to recommend to his Rumble Bros, Radio Baloney. Well, thank you very much, sir. That you are the best person ever. All right. A king. Let's see. Rosie says, basically, I am an important person, also important in another language. The land beneath our feet was walked on by other people, blah, blah. Little people are missing and we care. So, yeah, it's just really sad. It's really sad and pathetic, and it tells you that the priorities are completely out of whack. Jack, how you doing? Let's see. I think we got the glitch coming up soon. All right, Spambot's going to tap out. Thanks a lot for showing up on a Wednesday night. The rare Wednesday night stream. Have a good sleep, man. Jamis says, did I hear positive energy? Energy? I could use a bit of energy right now. I'm feeling a little bit low on energy. Having a Coke right now, I had a coffee before. Still not really working. I had some cocaine, and that didn't do it. And then I had some crystal meth, and that didn't do it. And then I ate an entire human adrenaline gland. Still doesn't do it. I'm still not feeling the energy yet. Where can I get some energy? The kind of energy that could just keep me going through the next, 20 minutes or something, or half an hour. I don't know how long we're going to go, but I could use some energy. But where the hell can I?
They them energy. They them energy. They them energy. They them energy.
And teapot. Never gets old. Never, ever gets old. All right. Let's get into some of this stuff here. So what is it? I haven't watched this yet. I don't know who sent it. Was it Rosie sent it or Miles sent it? I can't remember. A raccoon trying to smoke a meth pipe during a vehicle search in Springfield Township, Ohio. This video seems so Ohio. So let's take a look here. So she does look like someone who might have a raccoon smoking a meth pipe in her car. I don't know what's happening. I haven't watched this. Let's take a look.
Hi, how are we doing today? I'm Officer Brandon with Springfield Township Police Department.
Okay, stop it, Josh. How are you?
So the reason I stopped you is you are suspended with a warrant for your arrest.
I am?
So do me a favor, turn off the car, put the keys up on the dash, detain you for that warrant, and because you are suspended actively. Oh. Hey.
What?
Come here.
Hello?
The raccoon has her meth pipe.
As what?
Oh my God.
Her meth pipe. He's playing with the meth pipe right now. No, don't reach for it. That's evidence now.
Oh, I don't want him to have that.
That's why I'm going to do it. Hey, buddy.
Huh?
It's okay.
Okay, you're on Arlington. He'll be here in 2 minutes. I'm right across from my house.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what she's smoking meth in.
Okay.
The raccoons play with their meth pipe.
All right.
Oh, there's no. He's trying to smoke it.
All right. Thanks.
There's no way. All right. Enough fun and games.
Okay, he may not have been smoking it right there, but she's been smoking meth with the raccoon. She's been giving the raccoon meth. You know that. What would a methed out raccoon be like? I mean, you'd think it'd be more kind of like vicious, really. Didn't seem that vicious there. I feel bad for the raccoon. The only person I feel bad for in the situation is the raccoon. It's funny as hell. But also sad. Also very, very sad. Let's see. K9, cute police dog sent into retirement with tennis ball surprise. Well, this is just nice. This is what we call a palate cleanser from The Immortal. This is what we call a palate cleanser. After all the terrible news.
All right.
Yes.
See, that's just nice. That's just so much nicer than making the dog smoke meth with you. Way nicer. See, like, there's no moral confusion in this, right? That's just nice. Don't give the dog meth. Give it some tennis balls. It's way better. What's going on here? Okay, we can't get into this one. It's too heavy. You guys sent it in to me. I put it in there just so I'd have it. What about this one here? So there's raccoons on a slide. So I don't know. This is just kind of fun, I guess. Let's take a look. Oh, can't have music. So it's just raccoons on a slide, and they're not smoking meth, which is a positive. And there you go. It's just a nice thing. So what is the story behind this, though? So somebody just built, like in somebody's garage, they built a raccoon thing and then put a slide in it. And there's like raccoons that got trapped in there. Or where did the raccoons come from? I don't know. Maybe he is giving them meth. Maybe they're all meth heads. I don't know. But anyway, there you go. Raccoons. Squirrel gets drunk after eating fermented pears. Hey, that reminds me of myself about 7 years ago before I quit drinking. All right, let's move on. Out of context human race. Imagine breaking into someone's house and they have a pet bear. Oh, of course it's Russians. Russians, they love having pet bears for some reason.
Вкусно тут кашу мамину. Мамину кашу, скажи, папа любит, давайте. Ой, скажи, да? Кашку. Кашку медведушки. Ой, скажи, сладко. Ой, давай.
The thing about bears is if you hang around them long enough, eventually somebody's going to come by and they're just going to find your head. Because they will do that. The bears will eat you, and eventually they do eat you. Let's see. What's going on here? So that's a drone, and it's Snoopy, and the dog and his doghouse, and yeah, it's fun. It says, coolest use of a drone. Way better than giving a raccoon meth, I say. So what's this? Real life Spider-Man from, I think this is Dudes Posting W's. Freelance solo climber who scales skyscrapers with no ropes, no harness, and no fear. Huh. Oh, God. Oh. Joe, I can't even, I can barely look at this. Oh. So this is just somebody who has no fear. The people who do this have no fear. So on one hand, you kind of admire it and kind of envy the lack of fear. On the other side, you're just glad that you're not doing what he's doing right now. Because I think they usually die at some point. At some point, they usually fall off because gravity. No, thanks. That's a hard no. Let's see. Hey, that's what I do too, from Jonathan Slater. So what's going A dog looking in the mirror. So, I mean, you'd have to think it must have figured out that it's not another dog. Maybe he's just trying out his scary face. I don't know. Today I caught this good boy making bad boy faces in the mirror. Maybe he was just trying out a scary face. I don't know. Dogs are pretty smart, right? He's not even sorry and plans to do it again. So what happened here? Oh, hold on. No music. So Cat got down into the vent. He's not even sorry and plans to do it again. Absolutely will. That's why we love animals. All right, what else we got here? So there's a dog surfing, which is just fun. Doesn't even need comment. It's just, that's awesome. Some things are just awesome. That's one of those things that's awesome. Also, dogs riding skateboards is also just awesome. It needs no comment. It's just awesome. You could just watch it for hours and just go, yep, that's good. It's good that this is happening. What's going on here? A dog wants to play with the groundhog, who, however, is determined not to be distracted from his work. So, I don't know. My question here is, are they friends already? Because if that was just like a wild groundhog, you'd have to think it'd be freaking out really hard. Like, they must know each other. They must already be friends or something. I don't know. And the dog's pretty gentle with it. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I like different animals being friends, though. I think that's fun. Let's see. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. So what's this? So there's like a little lamb there, jumping, having a little leap. Well, that's nice. And what does it say up here? The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. Helen Keller. Now, there's some speculation that Helen Keller couldn't actually read or anything like communicate in any way. It was just like the lady that was taking care of her, just kind of, it was basically a hoax from her. So there is a possibility that, this line here, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart, was actually just, and then the lady that was taking care of her wrote that down. That's a possibility. Because it does seem like there may be some evidence that Helen Keller just never, ever had any idea what the hell was happening around her. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think of this lamb, Helen Keller? All right. That was mean. That was kind of mean, but that's why you're here. This Bret Weinstein one, I did have it in the thumbnail, so I should probably show it. All right, let's watch this. And we're really close to the glitch. It's going to be coming soon. All right, let's take a look at this. Yeah, I had it in the thumbnail, so I have to show this one before we go. All right. So here's Bret Weinstein, and we have a problem with credentialism and expertise now in the Western world, in every Western country, right? Because we don't have it anymore. Like, we don't have expertise anymore, or we don't have expertise that we can trust. What we have now is credentialism, and we have narrative. So you have people that are promoted, people with the right credentials that are screened by TV news, who are brought on to push an already decided narrative. And any other experts are ignored and demonized, right? And they don't get that chance, that screen time, to make the opposite point of the narrative point. Because in any endeavor, people are going to disagree, right? Any scientific endeavor, scientists don't actually all agree. That's what the media would have us believe. They don't all agree on climate or anything. Certainly not on like jabs or any, they don't agree. There's always dissenting voices, but we don't get that. So we get people who know they have to have a particular opinion, something that conforms, an opinion that conforms with the narrative to get on TV. And whether they're doing it for money or they're doing it because they like being on TV, it doesn't really matter. Nobody who doesn't have their opinion gets on TV. So we don't have expertise we can trust anymore. Of course, expertise does exist. There are experts. It's just that we don't really get to see them. We don't get to see the clash between the experts. We get the expertise that the narrative creators decide we should get. But let's take a look at this.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we must zoom out if we are to understand the pattern that we are gathered here to explore, because the pattern is larger than federal health agencies and the COVID cartel. If we do zoom out and ask, what are they hiding? The answer becomes as obvious as it is disturbing. They are hiding everything. It will be jarring for many to hear a scientist speak with such certainty. It should be jarring. We are trained to present ideas with caution, as hypotheses in need of a test. But in this case, I have tested the idea, and I am as certain of it as I am of anything. We are being systematically blinded. It is the only explanation I have encountered that will not only describe the present, but also, in my experience, predicts the future with all but perfect accuracy. The pattern is a simple one. You can see it clearly and test it yourself. Every single institution dedicated to public truth-seeking is under simultaneous attack. They are all in a state of collapse. Every body of experts fails utterly. Individual experts who resist, or worse, in an attempt to return their institutions to sanity, they find themselves coerced into submission. If they won't buckle, they are marginalized or forced out. Those outside of the institutions who either seek truth alone or who build new institutions with a truth-seeking mission face merciless attacks on both their integrity and expertise, often by the very institutions whose mission they refuse to abandon. There is a saying in military circles, once is a mistake, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is enemy action. I have no doubt that given an hour, the people on this panel could point to 100 examples of the pattern I have just described, while finding even a handful of exceptions would pose a significant challenge. We are left in a fool's paradise. Our research universities spend huge sums of public money to reach preordained conclusions. Professors teach only lessons that are consistent with wisdom students have picked up on TikTok, even when those lessons contradict the foundational principles of their disciplines. Once proud newspapers like the New York Times and Washington Post only report important stories after they have become common knowledge. Morticians must now raise the alarm over patterns missed by medical examiners. The CDC has become an excellent guide to protecting your health, but only for people who realize you should do the opposite of whatever it advises. The courts, the last holdout in this ongoing inversion of reality, are now regularly used as a coercive weapon of elites against those who threaten them. We have literally witnessed the Department of Homeland Security attempt to set up a truth ministry and declare accurate critique of government as a kind of terrorism. To my fellow patriots in the West, the pattern is unmistakable. I cannot tell you with any certainty who they are or what they hope to accomplish, but I can tell you that we are being systematically denied the tools of enlightenment and the rights guaranteed in our Constitution. We, those who remain dedicated to the values of the West, must fight this battle courageously, and we must win. For if we do not stem the tide, the result will be a dark age that differs from prior dark ages only in the power and sophistication of the coercive instruments wielded by those who will rule us.
Yeah, so we don't have reliable expertise anymore, and he's describing why that is. And you have a narrative now that is set by academics, by media, by politicians, and those institutions that aren't a part of the deception, such, like the CDC is clearly a part of the deception of setting that narrative. Those institutions that aren't just simply have to conform and then become part of it as well, such as like the AMA, the Endocrine Society, when you get to so-called gender affirming care. Or, Jordan Peterson will tell you the Ontario College of Psychologists, right? They just have to conform. So we don't have reliable expertise anymore. Expertise exists. It's just we don't have access to it. And we don't even really have any way of knowing which is the real expertise. It's actually a tragedy for Western civilization, and it can give us nothing but dysfunction and destruction. Like nothing good can come of it. You can't improve your society when every institution is operating purely ideologically, and when the ideology is a destructive one, right? Wokeism, radical progressivism, far leftism, whatever you want to call it at this point, the thing that encompasses, gender theory and, critical race theory, all of it is just Marxism at the core, at the base level. All people that hew to any of it are all socialists, and they're not interested in fitting their ideology into the world. They want to fit the world into the ideology, and they don't care if they break the world in the process. In fact, it seems like they want to break the world. And by break the world, I mean nothing works anymore. Everybody's poor. There are people that, we have such an optimism bias because of the kind of amazing civilization that was built, by the people whose shoulders that we're standing on, that, and nobody picks up a history book anymore. Civilization is on a razor's edge all the time, right? You don't think you could starve? You don't think you could see people around you starving? Think again. It can happen. It can happen. History tends to go slow, and very fast. And in the information age, it can happen way faster than that. In the blink of an eye, all of a sudden the world can be a very different place from what it was yesterday. And that is the terror of woke dysfunction. There's our friendly neighborhood glitch again. There it is. There it is. I'm starting to miss the glitch. All right. This part here, our once proud newspapers like the New York Times, Washington Post, for the New York Times has been lying for its entire existence. It was doing apologetics for fucking Stalin. It was doing apologetics for Lenin, during like the Red Terror. It was doing apologetics for the Soviets during like the Holodomor. Do people remember Judith Miller and the weapons of mass destruction hoax? New York Times was a big part of that. People have short memories. The New York Times has been lying as long as it's existed, and in horrific ways that have caused enormous damage. All right. Let's see. But I know you guys don't care about that. The only thing you guys care about is Truth Social ads on Rumble. If you're looking for a great place online for news, discussion, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social posts, then get on Truth Social today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and communism and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. It's a beautiful, beautiful social platform, beautiful social media. Yeah, that was a quick one. All right. What do we got here? So that was 2 hours and 20 minutes. I said I was going to try and keep it to 2 hours. What the hell's wrong with me? How could that ever happen? Let's end it with this, because this is just funny. A dog gets scared seeing Darth Vader for the first time. This is, what is this? From Bhutan Gabidin. Bhutan Gabidin. So dog gets scared seeing Darth Vader for the first time. Let's see this. This is worth seeing. You know, often wonder sometimes if dogs are actually like watching what's on the screen, and it turns out they are. And it recognized Darth Vader there and didn't like him. Smart dog. Smart dog. All right. I think that's going to be it, guys. So let's see. This is appropriate for the end of the show, I think. There we go. All right. Let's get back to the chat for the last bit of the chat, and then we're going to call it a night, I think. So let's see. Oh, there's not much after the glitch here. OT says Dr. Bret Weinstein claps. He's very smart. He's an actual old school liberal. He believes in like free market. He's not a communist. He's obviously a huge free speech advocate. He's like a relic from the time when kind of, you know, whether you were a Republican or a Democrat, there was still a lot of overlap in what you believed. Those days appear to be gone between, you know, like centrist, leftist, or rightist, or whatever we called that in Canada, conservative or liberal. The Conservative Party in Canada and the Liberal Party in Canada now, I don't care what people say. I don't care what the PPC people say. They are not remotely close. They're totally philosophically different. And if you want liberal values, like the actual liberal values that I'm talking about, like I don't mean, you know, arguing about, you know, whether a tax should be 1% more, 2% less, or something like that. But I mean like free speech. Like if you care about free speech, if you want to preserve free speech in Canada now, the Conservative Party it's the only party, right? The NDP, the illiberal party of Canada, are censorious. Mark Carney wants to censor the internet. He wants to shut down dissent, right? The Liberal Party is not, in Canada, is not your father's Liberal Party or your grandfather's Liberal Party anymore. It is now a fully, ever since Justin Trudeau transformed it from a centrist party into a radical far left party. And Mark Carney is just an extension of this. In fact, he's going to supercharge it. So, where was I going with that? Yeah, so Bret Weinstein is that one of the few relics of like old school liberalism. Let's see. Let's see. Streamer says, good night, everyone. Rosie says, poor little pup. We have two. One watches, one ignores. Yeah, they all have their own little personalities, don't they? Ottawa James says, okay, thanks, Radio B. A great chat stream. Hopefully we'll see you on Friday. Ottawa James says, liberals are too far left, bro. Yeah, they're not the same party anymore. The Liberal Party of Canada is now an illiberal, far left radical party. So I think that the word liberal, actually, it doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore. So it's not really very utile even calling somebody like a Bret Weinstein liberal, because so many people don't seem to understand what the word means. I mean, there are lots of people in Canada who would call themselves a liberal, but if you ask them about censorship, they're all for it, right? If you ask them about capitalism, they're like, oh, I don't know about capitalism's bad, right? These people aren't liberals. They are far left radicals, right? You're voting for far left radicalism. So it's almost like we should just dispense with the word liberal, because it's not really useful anymore. Like, everybody who agrees with Bret Weinstein, like the vast majority of people who see value in what he says would all consider themselves conservatives now. So the categories have all shifted, is my point. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, the Liberal Party is not liberal. Like, you are correct. Like, too far left. They are radical leftists. Let's see. Rumbum says, how you doing, Rumbum? Sweeney as Barbarella would heal some. She'd do a great job. I mean, you know what? What's her name? Who was the original? God damn, why can't I remember her name now? I think it's because I had some antihistamines before the stream. Jane Fonda. I mean, she did look great. She was hot as Barbarella. She really was. But it turns out she's a crazy fucking commie. A dirty, filthy commie. So Sweeney isn't. So I would like to see her be the new Barbarella and then just erase the Jane Fonda Barbarella from memory. She'd be better anyway. Oh, Rosie says, you see Jack's gift. Sorry, guys. You know what? It got erased with the glitch. So, but we will celebrate it and we will honor it right now. So, Jack, if you're still there, I apologize. I did not see. But sometimes I get carried away in my ranting. But Jack, if you're there, guess what? So Jack gifted a membership, and that officially makes Jack the best person in the world that's ever lived, alive today or in all of history. I mean, everybody else who's in the chat is obviously better than everybody else who's ever lived as well, except for Jack, because he did gift the sub there. And everybody who's just watching, but they're not in the chat, still better than all the other people that have ever lived, except for the people in the chat, and also Jack, who was at the top because he did a gift to the membership, and that obviously helps me. So that makes you the best person of all time. Thank you, Jack. I hope you're still here to see that. Let's see. Let's see. Rumbum says, I came in late to you guys to talk about the massive reality slap to all those libtard voters when the commie Carney clown met with Trump. We did talk about it. It was the first thing we talked about. And, you know, I just wonder, like, if reality hadn't slapped them before they went in to vote, like, is it going to slap them now? I mean, the reason they voted for Carney is because they were very low information voters, right? They didn't like what they didn't like what Trudeau had done for a decade. And Mark Carney was promising to do just the same, but in overdrive, and they still voted for him. I just start to wonder at a certain point, is there anything that will wake them up? And I'm just not sure at this point. Ottawa James says, Hanoi Jane, exactly. Let's see. Is he gifted sub? Woohoo, Jack. Is Jack still there? Did he? I hope he didn't log off before you got to see the best person ever thing, because it's important. It's important. When you're the best person ever, you don't want to miss it. Rosie says, when I was nursing children, fashion never looked like that. Sweetie is wearing nursing clothes, right? I don't know. I don't really care. Just keep wearing them. Let's see. So we got actually more people watching now than we were watching earlier, but yeah, we gotta, you know what? I gotta moderate it. We're gonna have a long one on Friday night, everybody. So I hope everybody watching right now. Oh, by the way, I haven't tried to shame anybody into subscribing to the channel. If you're watching right now and you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel right now. It's really important, and everybody's doing it. It's a beautiful thing, very beautiful thing. Everybody says so. And also liking the stream, too. It's big. It's big right now. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but it's really big. Liking the stream, big deal right now. You don't want to be left out. Plus, you get that free good karma. And why would you turn your nose up at some free good karma in these troubled times? Really? Are you sure you can afford that? Think about it. Think about it. We don't know what's coming around the corner. Everybody could use a little bit of good karma. Free good karma from Radio Baloney, as long as you subscribe to the channel or like the stream, or both. Let's see. Let's see. Are you guys not getting the chat, the live chat? Should be. We got it coming up on the screen. Ottawa says, nah, they still dumb bros, mean liptards. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that'll wake them up. I mean, if they didn't get the reality slap before they voted, are they ever going to? Maybe. I mean, but I just fear at how bad things would have to get. Do we need to get to 200% inflation, like in Argentina before Malay? I mean, maybe we do. Would even that work? I mean, is there anything, like, you take a look at San Francisco. Is there anything that could convince those people to change their political views? I mean, it's like having a poop map because there's so much human feces around their city. Crazy homeless people, needles everywhere, crack pipes everywhere, constant property crime. You can't leave your car anywhere. I mean, if you can live amongst all of that and still just find it so just unforgivably unfashionable to become even slightly conservative, is there anything? I mean, are those? Is Canada like that? Would Canadians rather just watch the country burn? Would they rather be forced to go forage for food in the forest, like that Privy Council report warns? Would they literally have to rather live in a cave and forage for food in the forest and hope you're not getting the poisonous mushrooms than just abandon that fashionable label of liberal, even though it's not liberal? There's nothing liberal about the Liberal Party. I don't know. I'm getting kind of black-pilled on it. Like, is the social engineering so complete? And the sad thing is, it's not even like there's nothing deep about it. It's just that the word conservative is so unfashionable to them. It would just be so embarrassing for them to be seen wearing a conservative shirt. Anybody to know that they voted conservative. I mean, they could even do it secretly, but then they'd know. Then they know they didn't do what TV said. I'd like to vote for the person who's not totally insane and promising to ruin the country, but TV did say that I should vote for Carney. So I guess I've got no choice. It just comes down to fashion, ultimately, doesn't it? And it's sad. I really thought that Canada was going to make the right choice after the election in the States, where, I mean, forget about the tariffs and everything like that. But the choice that the United States had, it was a fork in the road, and a basic philosophical difference, right? So are you going to be about your own people, or are you going to be about the world? So are you going to be about the interest of your own citizens, or are you going to be for managed decline, for the elites, and for the world, for the benefit of the elites and the benefit of people in countries that you're never going to? There's a basic philosophical difference. Is the West great? Is it important? Is it worth saving? Is Western civilization worth saving? Or is it just inherently flawed and evil and deserves to die, and just literally anybody who comes from anywhere else has a better idea than the founders of the United States? I mean, that was the choice that was given, and the United States made the right choice. And the terrifying thing is, it wasn't like, and it seems like an easy choice to me. And this goes beyond tariffs or policy decisions, which are all fleeting ultimately anyway, right? But it goes deeply to, like, who are you? Who are you as a culture? What are you? Do you believe in yourself? Or do you feel like you deserve to just decline and die and disappear? Like, that's the choice. The American people made the right choice. I thought it might happen in Canada too. I thought it would happen in Canada. It didn't. It turns out that Canada is just one big fucking frozen San Francisco. I mean, not the whole, Alberta made the right choice. Saskatchewan made the right choice. Even British Columbia made the right choice, although it was closer there, much closer there. But Eastern Canada is populated, not all, but far too many frozen retards, unfortunately. And it's blackpilling me, people. It's blackpilling me. Rumbum says, I hit the like button before starting the stream, and when I clicked play, I got Sydney Sweeney pillows. I say that's best in life. It is. It never gets any better than that. OT says, far left radicals starts and ends with bribed politicians. Well, sometimes they're just ideologue. Like Mark Carney is an ideologue. He's just ruled by his ideology. Mark Carney is not interested in fitting his ideology into Canada. He's interested in fitting Canada into his ideology. And he's very happy to break Canada in the process, and he will. It's not a mystery what he's going to be doing. I mean, like, everything he's planning on doing has been documented in multiple interviews in his book that he wrote himself, apparently. He wrote it because it's so boring. And then just him saying it on the campaign trail. So, like, it's no mystery what he's actually going to do. The whole meeting with Trump was just a sham. It had nothing to do with anything. That was just protocol. Rumbum says, is Wednesday a new stream day, or was this the spur of the moment? No, this was because I was supposed to come on yesterday. I just got back from my trip yesterday, and I just couldn't do it. So I thought, well, I'll make up for it today. But after this, it's regular nights only, like Friday, Sunday, and Tuesday, unless something crazy happens. All right. All right, let's finish up the chat, and then we'll call it a night, people. 2 hours and 40 minutes. I was only going to do 2 hours, but I can't help myself. Ottawa says, well, next time Pierre will win, bro. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He got the most share of the vote for a conservative in 40 years. It may be that Canada is just too socially engineered now, so that, the NDP would, it's not even really a need for the NDP when you have the liberal, far left, radical, progressive, liberal party of Canada. You don't really need the NDP anymore. So that means no vote splitting, which means a guaranteed liberal government no matter what they do, no matter how bad it gets. That could be the reality for Canada now. Ottawa James says his wife is a fright. Even worse. Even worse. Well, I had a really good zinger for her earlier before I started the stream, but now I've fucking forgotten it. God damn it. What was it? It was funny. It was a good one. I can't remember. I'll try and remember it for next time. It was a good one, though. It was a really good zinger, but it was better than Skeletor. I'll tell you that. It was more creative. What was it? It was like, I can't remember. God damn it. I hate it when that happens. All right, everybody. That's it. We're done. We're done. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Always awesome. If it weren't for you guys are basically half the stream now. So if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't bother doing it because, you know why? Because I'd be talking to a cold, indifferent universe, a cold, indifferent void, and that wouldn't be fun. That'd be depressing. But because you guys are here, it's not depressing. It's fun. So I will continue to do it. So thanks, you guys. You guys are awesome. We'll see everybody Friday night, 7:30 Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern time. Hope to see you all there. And yeah, we're back on our regular schedule. And yeah, everybody have a great week. Awesome week.